Hey guys, it's Kels back at it again with another Friday night kickback. I promised you guys that each and every Friday night I would go live, I would show my face. So here we go, on to week 30, consistent of our Friday night kickbacks. I'm running a little bit late, but we're here. You know, we still gonna make it do what we do. So I'm still gonna make it do what it do, as we always do each and every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 12 midnight in London. And it sometimes it's like 2 a.m., 1 a.m. in South Africa. It be late. So I am not upset if y'all are not here with me today, or you trickle in a little bit later because I am running late. But I am still here as promised, because on Friday nights, the collective is my number one priority. I see Anna in the building. I'm late, but I'm here. I'm late, but I made it. Cheers. Clink, 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 clink. Yes. So you guys know the deal. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Let me know where you are watching from and what you are sipping on. If you're watching us live, chime in the comments. If you are part of the replay gang, drop this emoji in the chat, because you know replay gang is strong around these parts. So even if you can't catch us live, if you come back, check out the It's Kels Collective playlist and you catch us on the replay, be sure to drop your comments and let us know what you are thinking, what you are feeling about the topic that we're talking about, because we learn from the collective wisdom of the It's Kels community. Anna G in the building, getting ready to do her cross-country trip to the Pacific Northwest, her first artist residency. We got a whole oh my god, I always blank on this artist's name that I always want to call you. You know what, I probably shouldn't do that. We got a whole artist in the building, a part of the It's Kels collective, Anna G. And yeah, looking forward to you checking in and letting us know how the cross-country trip is going, how that gas fund, how those donations and those support and those tokens of love are coming in on your gas fund as you drive across the country and collecting your pieces to be in your ultimate work of art. Really exciting stuff. Really excited to support the doll, Anna G. And yes, cheers to her on that trip and that amazing accomplishment. We doing big things over here. Cheers. Clink, clink, clink. Yes. So let's do our cheers. So that is to, okay, so we're doing cheers to new chapters, new horizons, new paradigms, new identities, new trips. Today is the first day of Leo season, so the timing is perfect and precise to set out on your voyage, Anna. So we are wishing you all the love, the success, the safety, the happiness, the excitement, the adventure, the thrill that you are cultivating on this trip. And we wish that not only for Anna, but we wish it for everybody in the It's Kels collective. Yes. Apartment Life View in the building as usual. So appreciate. It feels so good. I was saying this last week. How amazing does it feel to see people that you recognize? Like, it's literally a collective. Like, you really know the names. You know what I mean? So appreciate y'all being here. It feels good. That feels really good. It's looking like we did our cheers. I'm sipping on some water. Just lubricating the throat chakra, keeping the throat chakra lubricated, seeing 333 on the clock. If you're into numbers, if you're into numerology, you guys know that the vibrational essence of the number 333 is really close to me. So love to see it. Love to see it right at the top of the broadcast. You know what I mean? Going in with some good energy. Sipping on the H2O, keeping that throat chakra lubricated. Let me take a sip. Yes. Okay, so let me make sure, I'm trying to make sure over here that we're coming in clear. Let me see, why don't I see my little, oh, here we go. All right. Yes, my hair is big, guys. It's curly and big for the summer. It's curly, frizzy, and big for the summer. What's the point of having straight hair in the summer when you know it can't stay straight? So might as well make it even bigger. You know what I mean? You might as well make it even bigger. Love to energy. Oh, look at the love. You're here and looking fabulous. Clink, clink. You know what I mean? Thank you, boo. Love from energy in the building. Apartment Life View here. Wow, seeing 444 on the clock as well. Whoa, what's going on with the synchronicity? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. The angel numbers, the synchronicity, and the essence of 333 and 444 in the building. I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Sending luck and vibes and safety out to Anna on her trip on her first artist residency. Yes, and love, the love pouring, the outpouring of love in the comments. Right at the top of the broadcast. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, guys. How are you guys feeling? I feel like Apartment Love You last week we were talking about how it was a little bit quiet. And it was like, oh my gosh, should we be comfortable with this quietness or should we be freaking out? And honestly, I was comfortable with the quietness last week. This week was a little quiet as well, but I did have some major decisions that I needed to articulate to a few people. So it was a little bit more heated this week than it was last week, but it was feeling good. I'm still feeling good, feeling like we're stepping through a lot of chapters and a lot of portals and moving on in life. And I feel like that pace is picking up the second half of the year. Third in the buildings. You know what I mean? What is it? I'm waiting for a 400-meter final in Eugene, Oregon. Wade Van Der Kirk from South Africa is running. Okay, sending him energy and vibes to get those legs going on the 400 meters. And hopefully he charts or something. Good, good luck to him. Good luck to him. First, so, okay. So how are you guys feeling? How was this week feeling for you guys? I feel like we're going to go through the topics options this week pretty quickly because I do know what you guys chose for number one on both platforms. And then we're going to talk about it because this week I did have a little chicken scratch notes. To see what we're getting into and just what we're thinking about. But yeah, how has the week been for you guys? I'm so glad to see you. So glad to reconnect live, and those of us catching us on the replay, good to connect with you on the replay as well. Still the same consistent energy, regardless if you catch us live or on the replay. Guys, I actually do have plans tonight too. So we're gonna have to get into it because your girl, the doll has plans. You know what I mean? But first and foremost priority for 7 p.m. Friday nights Eastern time is the collective. So we're here and we're reconnecting and we're seeing how the week went. You know what I mean? Y'all chime in the comments. Let me know how the week went. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop on Instagram and do the topic rundown. Yeah? Okay. So let's do that. All right. Okay. So just to remind you guys, every Friday Eve, aka every Thursday, I drop 4 topics for the collective to vote on for what we're gonna get into on Friday night. So yesterday I dropped my 4 topic options on Instagram stories. So make sure you follow me on Instagram to be able to vote on IG. My handle is its Kells KELLSSS on Instagram, and you can vote on the stories on Thursday nights. And then if you're more like on YouTube on Thursday nights, check out the community tab here on the channel, and I drop the same 4 topic options on YouTube for you guys to vote as well. So we have 2 communities voting, and then Friday nights we get into the topics based on what you guys really wanted to talk about. If it's a tie, if it's the split decision, I usually make the final call on what we feel like talking about. And so, but I know for sure that tonight everybody had a consensus of talking about the same thing. Yeah. Probably Love You is saying the week has been okay. Weekend will be better. Yes. Oh my God. I'm feeling like Leo season. For some reason today, I felt like a cloud lifted. I genuinely felt like a cloud lifted, and I was so shocked by that because I'm like, okay, it went from Cancer season, which is very moon driven, very emotional, going into Leo season, which is very fire driven. And I just immediately felt that lift. And I was like, whoa, I never felt that before. So I feel like this weekend, today's the first day of Leo season, and I feel like going into the weekend, it's going to be a lot of energy. So I'm there with you, Apartment Love You. I really feel like that's what's going to be happening. Okay, so the topic rundown, 4 topics, and I'm going to read them all from Instagram first and foremost and let y'all know what we was thinking when we was dropping those topic options, yeah? So the first one is why you have money, but you're still glum. So glum is like still not happy, still sad, still about life. You know what I mean? Why is it that some of us have a little money? Okay, we don't, we're not, struggling. We got a little money, but we're still glum. We're still unhappy. I put that in there because I read it on one of the social platforms and I was like, ooh, that would be interesting to talk about. And that came back in at 10%. You guys voted for that at 10% on IG. Okay. Second option was how to be comfortable being rich. Rich, very rich. So you guys know that we talk a lot, a couple lives ago, we talked about abundance and wealth and prosperity and how it's not, we were talking about poverty. The topic of the video was about poverty and poverty mindset and how self-doubt is actually a form of poverty or lack. And so as we were talking about that, if you haven't seen that video, you need to go back and see that. Look in the comments and look at the, look at what we was talking about. Their timestamps are always underneath the video, so you could jump from section to section by clicking on the timestamps. But as we were talking about that poverty mindset of self-doubt, it came out that we were talking about abundance and prosperity and being rich, and how, for me personally, a lot of my abundance and prosperity comes in ideas and creativity. You know what I mean? And so I was talking about rich, being very rich, and and so the topic from there to how to be comfortable being rich was like, I thought that was a natural progression from that conversation that we had a couple weeks ago. So number two, that came in at 10%. That came in at 10%. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna pause before we go to verse number 3 because I'm seeing something in the chat that is making my day right now. First saying, too blessed to be stressed, too grateful to be hateful. My biopsy came out negative, no cancer detected. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? That is such good news for God. Oh my God. Like, such good news. Such good news. Oh my gosh. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. Cheers to tests that need to come out negative, coming out negative. Cheers. Clink, clink, clink. Oh my gosh. Let's sip to Ferd on that. Oh my gosh. We thanking God in the comments tonight. We throwing up amens and everything in the comments tonight. Ruby Bell in the building. Ferd, I'm so happy to hear about this. Live life. Yes. Thanks for being here, sis. Oh gosh, thanking Source for sure. Clink, clink, clink. Cheers. Oh my gosh, it feels so good, Roots, to see the names of the people that you know, that you recognize, showing up, showing love each and every week, y'all. You guys are making me blush. You guys are making me blush. Oh my God, it's so good to see you guys. Okay, and to chop it up with you. Okay, so we had to pause to do a little praise break for a negative biopsy results. It's real life over here. I put in one of the captions of one of my reels on YouTube on Instagram this week. Playtime is over. It's big leagues. We're on to the big leagues. You know what I mean? And so when you're in the big leagues, you have serious life going on over here. We're talking about cancer results, okay? We're talking about artist residencies. You know what I mean? We're talking about moving on to new chapters and, you know what I mean, and new goals and reaching higher heights. You know what I mean? And so that's what we're talking about. It's the big leagues over here. Playtime is over. You know what I mean? So those can hang will be in the collective, and those hopefully will come through when it's time, when the time is right for them. You know what I mean? So getting back to the topic rundown, number 3, why does leading with your heart feel so scary? Why does leading with your heart feel so scary? So this is going back to, this came in at 50% on Instagram. So it is our number 1 topic choice on Instagram that you guys wanted to talk about. This came about because I felt like a lot of us were going into new chapters. And sometimes when you're going into new chapters, you always have this decision of like, of making that decision, of making a decision about where you're going next or what you're trying to do next. And I don't know if you guys notice, but sometimes you have the opportunity to like make the decision solely with your intellect and with your mind and like, let me analyze this and make sure that it like calculates and it like makes complete sense. And then sometimes you have the opportunity to say, oh, but my heart really wants to do that. Or my intuition really wants to do something in my heart is like, that would make me the most happy. That would make me the most exciting. But every time it always seems to be the most scary. Why is making the decision with your heart and following your heart and following your bliss always harder than trying to intellectualize it and making the decision solely with your mind? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. And I put it in the option and you guys voted for it 50% on Instagram. And it is our number one topic for tonight. So we're going to get into it. You know what I mean? And then our fourth option, which came in second on Instagram, it was 30%. And it came in as how to be comfortable being seen as excellent, how to be the blueprint. Last week we were talking about this a little bit. I believe it was Cynthia and Apartment Live View was here last week too, and so it might have been between Cynthia and Apartment Live View. We was talking about being the blueprint, being seen as excellent, how to be confident and comfortable being in that space of putting your expertise forward and being seen as the blueprint, as being seen as excellent in your craft. How to be comfortable with that, because a lot of us have a little bit of a problem being confident and comfortable vocalizing with our voice, using our platform, creating a platform, asking for what we want, being visible, showing up, being seen. And so that's where that topic came from. So we put it in an option last week, and then I brought it back this week because I think it ran the last week the topics were split. So it ran, I think, number one on one platform and number 3 or 4 on the other platform. So I talked about what did we talk about last week? We talked about something a little bit different last week. But I put it back and it came in second again this week. So maybe I'll just do a live or do a video and just talk about that separately, since it always seems to be like coming in at like number 2. But I think it's an important topic. It's like how to be confident and comfortable being seen and showing up on your platform, or showing up for your career, or showing up for what you've decided you wanted in your life. I think it's an important topic. And you guys know I always talk about lubricating that throat chakra, and I feel like that ties into that. How to be comfortable being seen. Okay. So that was a topic rundown on Instagram. I see you guys chiming in on the comments. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Oh my God. We love you, Kels. The benevolent energy of the collective is strong. Yes. Thank you for the love. I received that. Right at the top of the broadcast groups, 333 came through, 444 came through. So if you guys are watching or tracking the numbers that you're seeing in your life, just know that the energy of this broadcast tonight is around that 333, 444. Just so you know. Congrats on Apartment Life View. And then some love for Anna on her artist residency kicking off in like 2 days. Like 1.5 days. Anna, how many days until you hit the road for your artist residency? And love back to Rubes in the collective. Yeah. So let's look at the topic right now. So I already kind of did the reveal, right? We're going to be talking about why it's so hard to lead with your heart, to make your decisions and to move forward with your heart. But let's look at what you guys voted for. We know what the voting for was on Instagram. Let's see what you guys voted for on how you voted on YouTube, on the community tab on YouTube, because that's where you vote. Yeah. All right. So same 4 topics. Ooh, you know what? It's changed a little bit since the last time I looked at it. It's actually a split vote. Okay, so you know what? What I'm going to do is this. Next week, I'm going to have to make the executive decision. I'm going to let y'all know right now. Next week, the executive decision is that how to be comfortable being seen as excellent, because it came out as number 1 on YouTube. And when I looked earlier, it was everybody was talking about how why does leading with your heart feel so scary? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, because I thought that was the winner, but no, it creeped ahead on YouTube. Okay, so again, the number 1 topic option, the number 1 option, why you have money but you're still glum. That came in at 14% here on YouTube. And then second topic option, how to be comfortable being seen as rich, 7% on YouTube. Third option, why does leading with your heart feel so scary? 36% here on YouTube, as opposed to 50% over on IG. And then the fourth option, which is the winner on YouTube, and we are going to talk about this next week. Full stop. We're going to talk about this next week. How to be comfortable being seen as excellent. 43% over on YouTube. So I thought y'all got me. Y'all must have crept in and did some voting. Y'all crept in and did some little voting while I must have been getting dressed or something for the live, because I really thought it was both platforms talking about, why does leading with your heart feel so scary? But seems like y'all really want to talk about, well, at least on YouTube, how to be comfortable being seen as excellent. We're going to talk about this next week. You know what I mean? This is Friday Night Kickback number 30. I remember when we was on 20, now we're on 30 weeks consistent, more than halfway through the year. And I ain't tell y'all this, but I have a plan and a goal to be 52 weeks every single week of 2022 for our Friday Night Kickbacks. And we're well on our way. We're more than halfway there. So I want y'all to smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Put the notification button on. Put the notification on. Free and easy way to support the content, to support the doll. We do have some big plans to drop a few things. I know last week I talked about the podcast. We're working on that. We're going to get merch. We're working on that. And I also have a little content, some little course ideas percolating that are going to be coming out soon. My goal is for the first week in August, but it might be the second week in August. So I will keep you guys posted on how that's coming along. A lot of moving parts on that, but I was looking at some things today, and I felt like execution was what separates the girls from the girls from the women. From the boys from the men and the girls from the women. It's the execution. Everybody got an idea, everybody got a plan, everybody got an intention, but not everybody knows how to execute. And so I feel like that was my little motivational speech to myself today. And so please believe a lot of these things that you hear me talking about, you will see start to roll out with increasing momentum. Okay? Just need to let y'all know here live first, you will be seeing that. Laura Leveros in the building. Thank you, Laura. We said, what did we said? Look, it's summer, it's hot, straight hair. I mean, it's just too hard to keep. So let's just make the hair frizzy and big. How about that? So I enjoy the love on the big hair. Thank you guys so much. 2 more days. Oh, Ferd is giving me love. Thank you, honey. And the colors. Do you like my colors? I've been doing neutrals because neutrals and plain colors come through better on the camera. But I was like, let's do a pattern today. Let's be in Santorini. What y'all doing for summer vacation? Let's be in Santorini today. I'm bringing you guys a little Santorini realness. Okay. Thank you for the love, Ferd. I appreciate you. And then 2 more days till Anna's artist residency, that cross-country trip. Looking forward to seeing the content come back from that. Anna, drop your Instagram in the chat so the collective can follow your cross-country artist residency journey. I would love for everybody to see how that goes. So drop that in the chat for us, sis. Apartment Live View 52 weeks challenge. It'll happen. More than halfway to that goal. Do you have an idea what you'll do for the 50-second live stream? Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it live someplace. No, well, that's gonna be in DC. That might be New Year's, because I started these weekly lives, Apartment Live View, on New Year's 2021 into 2022, and then every week subsequent. So 52 might be, is it going to be like I don't know how the calendar is going to work out, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do maybe I'll do a meetup. I don't know. I don't want to put too much in it. I want to make the goal. You know what I mean? I don't want to put my hat too high to reach. You know what I mean? I do not want to hang my hat too high to reach, but I do have a plan to be consistent and do 52 weeks and just build a thing from there. You know what I mean? Okay. So, all right. So what are we? Oh, we got to get into the topics. I was thinking about, I don't know. Should I change no, I'll leave it. I'll leave the subject line as it is. Okay. So I do have a little bit of like written down stuff on like some little chicken scratch here on why it's so hard to uh, lead with your heart. Let me make sure I got the topic right. Okay. So the topic for tonight, we're going to start the topic now, is why does leading with your heart feel so scary? So what do we mean? Let's start by like, okay, what do we mean by leading with our heart? We talked a little bit about it when we were doing the topic rundown, but leading with your heart means doing things, making decisions. It means making um, decisions from not making decisions based on what feels the best for you, and that would make your heart the happiest, maybe like the inner child in you that would make you so excited to do, versus doing the practical, responsible, forced thing that we think is the thing that you do as an adult but doesn't really make your heart skip a beat. It doesn't really evoke any bliss. So this might be like, okay, you want to do, let's talk career because it's the easiest thing to talk about. So for instance, you want to do you studied or whatever, and you want to do a career, and maybe you're a creative, and you have the option of going and being a creative and being some sort of creative at some big corporate company that would pay you some good money and it has a good name, but it doesn't, it's like, I can do it, but you're kind of doing it for the money, or you're kind of doing it for the relationships, not because it super excites you. Versus there's an opportunity at a another firm, maybe a nonprofit, that maybe pays a little bit less, but you're really passionate about the cause. You really want to work on that. You really feel like it meets your purpose and it meets your personality, and it would really feel like you're giving back to the community. So you really would love that. You would really love to work there, but it's at a lower name. It's at a nonprofit. Maybe it doesn't pay as much. And it's like, okay, which decision do I make? Which one would be leading with my heart versus leading with my head? So the one leading with your head would be more like, okay, let me take the corporate, creative thing because it pays more, and they have a better brand recognition on the name of the company. Versus leading you with your head would have been like, no, I'm more passionate about the work that I'm going to be doing at the nonprofit, and I'm more passionate about the impact that I will have, and I'm more excited to do it, even though it's less money and maybe a lesser name to the company. So that would be the difference between leading or making decisions with your heart versus leading or making decisions with your head. And so so before I talk about the question, the one thing I do want to say is sometimes I feel like we always do that. I just want to make a caveat here. I feel like it's always making the decision that you're more passionate about, or more about with your heart in, is the one that with the less money or the less privilege. It doesn't always, maybe it doesn't always have to be like that. We always have this concept of the starving artist. We always have this concept that if you do something with your heart that you love and that you're passionate about, it means that you're going to be making less money, or that it's going to be less prestige, or it's going to be less. But maybe that's a false narrative. That's one of the first things that I want to kind of bring up. Maybe that's a false narrative. Maybe leading with your intellect doesn't always mean it's the more money and the more prestige, and leading with your heart means it's more work and passion and character. Maybe that's not what it is. But, regardless, one is you feel it in your body and your heart, and you really have a sense that it ties into who you are and your character. And the other one may be the more rational, reasonable decision that you could justify. If somebody asked you could put down the bullet points. It looks good on paper. You can put down in the bullet points like, oh yeah, it's a bigger company, it's a better name, more money. I can pay back my student loans, I could maybe be the boss in like 3 years. It's very rational. You know what I mean? And so I feel like a lot of us have spent a lot of time a lot of time making decisions with our head, and trying to rationalize it. But there's a point of failure with that. There comes a point where it just doesn't inspire you to jump out of bed and to live your best life when you're only making decisions from your head and the rational reasonable calculative way, versus the part that's really would make you spring out of, gives you a spring in your step and make you super excited and really want to do it, which is usually the decisions that you make with your heart, and following your heart. The thing with that is that I find that it's super, super scary. Super, super scary. We got Mayo in the building. We got Marjorie in the building. Wow. Look at the love. Like the top, it was the 333-444 at the top of the broadcast. And then all of the faves came through. All of the faves are in the building. Can you imagine that? Oh my God. It's the love. It's the love for me. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's the first day of Leo season. Marjorie, I believe, is a Leo. You know what I mean? So of course she would grace us with her Leo regal royalness in the building. Appreciate you being here, sis. Since you cut the conversation, let me see what Tashima is saying. Tashima is saying, thank you for being here, sis. Appreciate you. She said, my logical brain has saved me. It's helped me escape poverty and not succumb to the trauma I've experienced. 100%. 100%. And that is the reason why we rely on our logical, rational brain. But there becomes a point where you move out of trauma and you move out of survival mode and you're moving into thriving. When you are able to make that shift from trauma and survival mode into thriving, abundance, and prosperity, consider that it may require a shift from moving from only following your logical mind to following your heart. This is where I feel like I a little bit am in my journey, because I realized that escaping poverty, Tashima, was my number one goal. Full stop. And whatever it took to do that, I would do. And that required me leaning very heavy onto my logical mind. My very practical, my very logical, my very masculine, my very Knight of Wands mind, if you're into tarot. But as you become successful and masterful in leading with your intellect, there becomes a point where it becomes uncomfortable. And when that discomfort arises, consider and recognize that now you're asked to shift into bringing more balance into the leadership into your leadership. So perhaps now, after you've mastered the trauma and you've mastered the survival mode and you've navigated out of the poverty, moving from that to thriving requires that you make a click. You click and you switch the authority. You switch your inner authority from solely your intellect to giving your heart some command as well. Does that mean completely hand over all authority and leadership of your life to your heart only and now forget your mind? No, it means bringing it into balance. It means bringing the authority of your life into balance. Right now, where most of us are when you were trying to escape trauma and poverty, it was highly focused on your intellect and using your mind and your masculine energy to escape that. But now I feel like we're being asked to think about how to invite our heart to take some leadership as well and to balance out the leadership between the two. In fact, what I'm understanding, what I'm feeling right now is that your mind is actually not the best leader. Your heart is the best leader. Your mind is the best executor. So the shift that I'm navigating right now for myself is how to make sure I understand the vision and the direction and the pointing that my heart is asking me to do, and then how to bring my mind in service to the execution of my heart's desires. So it is not a forsaking the authority and the leadership of your intellect or your mind. It is bringing it into balance and slightly clicking over to give my heart a little bit more authority to point me in the direction as I bring my mind in to be the horses to execute that. I hope that makes sense for you, but I feel you. I 100% feel you when you say my logical brain has saved me. It's helped me escape poverty and not succumb to all the traumas I experienced. I am there with you, sis, 100%. 100%. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. But once you come through that, I think that you have to reevaluate the balance between the intellect driving or executing versus your heart driving, right? Rubes is agreeing, is welcoming Tashima in the building. I could totally relate asking questions of your head and then making sure to answer those same questions from your heart. So being able to say, oh, what do I really want to do in my heart and my body versus what my head is telling me I can rationalize, or that I could explain to my parents, or that I could explain to my friends, or that I could explain to like somebody who would ask me why I did that. Those are two different things. Your heart is very clear and unequivocal, but it does not require any explanation. You just know. Your mind usually requires some analytical explanations to be able to explain why you're doing it. So that's the difference between understanding where your leadership or your decisions are coming from if you're trying to break them up between your mind and your heart, right? Rubes is saying both really matter though. It's about embracing balance. 100%, Rubes, right on the same playing field. The balance is definitely required, especially as you're moving past survival mode, as I said, yeah? Yeah. Tashima's saying when I lean into my heart desires, I feel like it throws me off course and I always have to recover from the decision. Healing is required to trust your ability for your heart to trust the ability for your heart to set the path, to trust that pleasure and abundance and whatever your heart desires does lead you to success. There's a lot. Here's the deal. I gotta say this. It's a lot of work. That's one of the things. One of the things that one of the reasons why we're talking about this. Why does leading with your heart feel so scary? For that same reason. Because a lot of people feels like it throws you off balance, it throws you off course, and it requires you to recover from the decision. For one, leading from your heart requires a lot of healing to be done up front. A lot of letting go of self-doubt, a lot of letting go of fear, a lot of letting go of the trauma, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of wholeness, a lot of self-love, it requires so much clearing. I don't want to say so much. It requires a lot of clearing to be able to be confident, and stand firm and embodied and strong and trusting of your heart. That's one of the reasons why it's scary. Two, your heart doesn't lead the way that the intellect does. Your heart requires you to be okay with some unfamiliar territory. It requires you to be okay with unfamiliar territory. Sorry, there's a little gnat in here. With unfamiliar territory and the ups and downs of leading from an intuitive place. When you lead from your heart, you don't see the full path. You only see the next logical step. And when I say see, I mean feel. You only feel the next logical step, and you have to be confident to step out in the dark, which means that you cannot be in survival mode. You cannot be wrapped up in the bed of trauma and do that. So it requires you to have healed a lot of those things, if not the majority of those things, in order to even give your heart the authority. To even switch your inner authority. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of tenacity, you know what I mean? And a lot of faith and the decision that my heart gets to lead me on my path of greatest joy, of greatest bliss, and it will make me successful. And my heart will not lead me astray. My heart will not lead me astray. My intuition will not lead me astray. Another reason why it's difficult to lead from your heart is because our system is not designed that way. Our system is not designed to have us. Our system is not designed to have an internal authority. Our system is designed for us to work with an external authority. External authority is your boss. External authority is the government. External authority are your parents. External authority is your university. External authority is the healthcare system. Always somebody outside of you that's creating the foundation for you. That's an external authority. And so our entire system of governance in the Western world is this reliance on an external authority. Even to some extent, our vision of God as this external omnipotent being, somebody outside of ourselves, speaks to our system that has us conditioned to think that our authority must come from the external. When you are leading with your heart, your authority comes from the internal. You shift your perspective. So you have to be able to hear yourself, trust yourself, listen to yourself, and know that yourself will not lead you astray. This is completely different than how we've been designed in the Western world. Even the new spiritual practices that we're talking about now, let's talk about God for a second. When the new spiritual practices now, the reason why they are disruptive is because it talks about the God within you, the internal authority of the God within you. This is very different to our traditional understanding of God, which is this omnipotent being external to you. So that's what I mean when I said, even when we're talking about God and spirituality, our system makes it seem like this person is governing from you, outside of you. When in reality, in my life, my God governs from inside of me, within me. My God resides within me. You know what I mean? And that is a very scary topic for people to understand, because it requires you to have authority in your life and accountability in your life. It is when you switch that perspective from an external authority to an internal authority, there is nobody to blame for anything. It is all about your relationship to yourself and to your God. And if you're able to translate what is being spoken to you and execute against it in a confident way. So you can't be in survival mode. You can't still be wrapped up in the throes of trauma or unforgiveness or self-doubt. If you look back at the videos that we're talking about on this, that we talk about on the channel, a lot of them are helping us to move closer to a self-governance, an internal authority, how to release self-doubt, how to recognize self-doubt as a poverty mindset and how to release it, how to let go of old identities and the death of your old identity and who you were, how you governed yourself, how you were governed before and how you want to govern now. A lot of our conversations are about going through this and learning to lead from your heart. It is a very scary thing. It is a very scary thing. And it can feel like, especially at the beginning, that it's leading you astray and that you have to then recover. You know what I mean? Because we're so used to this kind of more rigid, intellectually driven lifestyle. You know what I mean? Okay. So I just wanted to talk about there. It requires you to shift your trust. It requires you to shift your trust from an external authority, and we talked about those external authorities, to an internal authority, right? It requires you to be accountable. When your authority is now internal, when your heart is now your authority, you're accountable. You're accountable to yourself. You have to be accountable to your decisions because you did a decision with your heart and you're making moves with your heart, not because they told you that going to a university was going to make you successful, or because they told you that working at that corporation was going to make you successful, or because your parents told you that you needed to do X, Y, Z at this time, or because the government told you that you needed to vote and do this at this time. You know what I mean? So now if you're switching your authority slightly, you're no longer accountable to the success that they're saying you're going to qualify for. You have to now define your own levels of success. So there's a lot more autonomy, but there's more responsibility. You know what I mean? And there's also more power, which is another reason why this form of leading with your heart is so frowned upon, because it switches the power from the government, and these bigger outside forces to the people. The power is then returned to the people, which is very scary for a population with leaders, because then the people do whatever the hell they want and they don't just abide by this external authority. We getting into it tonight. We getting into it tonight. Okay. You know what I mean? Let me see what else we have here. It takes a lot of understanding your intuition and how intuition works to be able to lead with your heart. Again, it is not going to be this very clear cut, stable A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 pattern that we've all been conditioned to think what success looks like. You know what I mean? It's going to be a little bit haphazard. It's going to require you to have mastery over your emotions in through the ebbs and flows of it, because it is your heart. It is the divine feminine. The divine feminine thrives in chaos. The divine feminine thrives in change. You know what I mean? And so think about wildlife, think about nature. There's organization to it, but it is not in this logical get up, get dressed, go to work, go to school, study here, come there, vote here, write here, drive there, do this, pray here, come back home, eat dinner, go to bed, wake up, go to work out. That's not how nature works. A lion don't be on a schedule like that. Elephants don't be on no schedules like that. They just go by the cycles and they go by the nature and things like that. So understand that when you are switching your authority from your intellectually driven, way of doing this and trying to just bring more equilibrium or more balance and let your heart lead sometimes, know that you're going to be going on more natural cycles. You're going to be working on more natural cycles. This might look like not working as hard during your menses as a woman, because you're actually not supposed to be working that hard on your cycle that week. But we don't take that into account because we're all just doing this from the external authority, my boss, my professor, my teacher, my job, I have to do, the outside, I just have to do whatever, and not taking into account our natural rhythms. When you are governed by your heart, you take into account your natural rhythms. You take into account the seasons. You take into account the celestial bodies and the planets and the moon. You take into account the weather. You know what I mean? Notice none of this is taken into account when you're driven by the intellect. You don't care rain, sleet, snow, only if it got to be a hurricane or a blizzard. That's the only time they care. They don't care what season it is. You work just as hard as the winter as you do in the summer, as you do in the spring, as you do in the fall. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's always the same thing because it is not driven in a natural way. So when you're dealing with things or trying to bring more natural drivenness to you, it's going to ebb and flow differently than you're used to. So it is going to be a little chaotic. That's something you have to be prepared for. And you have to be courageous through it. You have to be interested in the adventure. You have to be interested in the adventure. You have to be interested in learning how your heart governs. You have to be interested in it. This week I wrote in my journal that I'm interested. How will my life change? Ask yourself this. Look at this question. If you're interested in this topic, if you're interested in today's topic of why does leading with your heart feel so scary? Ask yourself this. Think about this. How would my life change? What would my life look like if I started to slowly make decisions with my heart a bit more in my life and observe what happens? That's my plan right now. I'm going to start to slowly make a few more decisions with my heart, not just my intellect. My intellect and my mind is going to be there. Obviously, you see this forehead? This dome, this cranium, the intellect is not going anywhere. You know what I mean? But I am going to slowly but surely give a little bit more room and more authority to my heart and really try to see if I can make more decisions with my heart and see how my life changes. See what changes I see come in. What say y'all? Would y'all try that? If you want to be a scientist, if you want to lead with your intellect, just make a few changes and see in your life. Oh, you know what? I really liked that gym, but I felt like a little bit like more drawn to that gym. And, it's a little, something about it I really like a little bit more. Make that decision. Like just give a little bit more onus to your heart and your decisions and observe the patterns in your life. Observe what changes. Because that's my plan. That's my plan. That's what I'm about to do. Mm-hmm. Mm. That's what I'm about to do. And go on the adventure a little bit. Go on the adventure of it a little bit. See if I can still keep my footing and still keep mastery over my mind. Isn't that the ultimate? Isn't that the ultimate intellect? To still have the mastery of your mind, to still not let your mind freak out with you, to still not get into Eight of Swords, self-defeat, feeling trapped, feeling captured, feeling like you made a mistake. Can I keep mastery over my mind and my intellect, yet let my heart lead in more circumstances in my life and observe how my life changes? And I'm setting the intention that my life improves. I'm setting the intention that me doing that will improve. I will see improved outcomes. I will see more thrill. I will see more adventure. I will see more bliss. I will see more happiness. I will see more pleasure. I will see more fun. I will feel more powerful. I will feel more bright. I will feel more uplifted. I will have better connections. I will feel better in my body. I will feel better in my skin. I will be more in tune with nature. I will be more in tune with my natural rhythms. I will be more prosperous. I will be more abundant. I will be more happy. I will be more joyous. I will be more thrilled. I will be more beautiful. I will be more full of life. I will be more in love with life. I will be more in love with life every single day. I let my heart lead and make more decisions with my heart. That is my intention. That is my intention. And I'm going to observe it. I'm going to observe it because I still have a mind and I still have mastery over my mind and I still can lead with my intellect. But I'm going to make more room for my heart to lead as well. Even though it's scary, and it will be. It will be. It requires courage. It requires accountability. Let me see what y'all saying in the comments, because I know I've been rattling off a little bit. But I got on a wave. I had to ride it. I got on a wave. I had to ride it. You know what I mean? Clean. Cheers. I see you guys chiming in the comments. Let me see what say y'all collective. I see y'all watching tonight. Smash that like button if you're here for week 30 of our Friday night kickbacks each and every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific time, midnight in London, and I feel like about 1 a.m. in South Africa. We go live. This is week 30. We have a goal to go live every single week of this year. So we have 22 more weeks to go because you guys know it's 52 weeks in a year. So we're more than halfway there. Apartment Life, you asked me earlier, what you about to do for your 50-second live, girl? I don't know, but I'm gonna have to make it special. If y'all got ideas, drop them in the comments. You know what I mean? As y'all do that, let me check what y'all talking about now as we get into why it's so hard. Why it's so scary to lead with your heart. You know what I mean? Let's see. What y'all talking about? All right, Tashima's saying, using both as wisdom, it's just scary for me not to trust my logical brain. It's working, but I'm working through it. So the request is not to not trust your logical brain, is to bring your logical brain in partnership with your heart, or to bring your logical brain, your execution brain, your focus and your discipline brain into service of your heart. Into service of your heart. Have your logical brain serve your heart, as opposed to be in conflict with it. When I was in therapy, because I'm still in therapy, one of the first things that came out of one of my very first therapy sessions was, oh, I think I have a contentious relationship between my mind and my heart. I feel like my mind always was the one that I was relying so much upon, and it made me successful. But I got to the point where I was like, damn, my heart is saying something, and I need to leave some room for it to speak a little bit more. That was one of the first realizations, is that you don't have to have a contentious relationship between your mind and your heart. All you have to do is bring bring a little bit more equilibrium to it, and maybe make your mind in service to the vision and direction of your heart sometimes. Marjorie in the building. Further saying, I can't always trust our hearts because it's emotional and based on wishful thinking. That makes you sit back and see things through. Oh, myself is based on prayer and seeking answers from God. So seeking answers from God is very close to following your heart, because God doesn't always speak through your intellect, because we have a lot of conditioning and we have a lot of trauma and preconceived notions that get processed and trapped in our minds. God has a tendency to speak to you through your heart, through your spirit, through your soul. So if you are asking God, or if you're speaking to God and you're saying, oh, I can't trust my heart, but you're speaking to God, consider that you're speaking to God through your heart and not so much through your intellect. Seeing 555 on the clock. Marjorie the Leo. Ruth saying, me too, my logical brain also seems to lean more pessimistic, so I can really get stuck. Yes. Your logical brain has a tendency, for me, my logical brain has a tendency to get frightened by how big my heart's ideas are, or how big my heart's vision is. Because I can feel something in my heart, or want to do something, or feel really excited and thrilled by it. But then my mind immediately starts to calculate, how the hell is it supposed to execute against that? That don't even make no sense. How that's supposed to happen? Does anybody else notice that? Does anybody else notice that? Just start paying attention. Your heart could really want something, and your mind immediately is telling you why you can't have it, why it can't work, because your mind has to figure out how to execute these big visions that may be in your heart or in your soul, or God may be speaking into you. Your higher self may be speaking into you. Your mind is immediately frantic about how the hell I'm going to be able to execute against this. The thing that I've learned around that piece is, you're not alone. It's not your mind only job to help you execute these visions that your heart might be whispering to you. You are supported in every single step of the way. And if you ask for the support to show itself to you, to be present with you every moment, as you try to take one little step towards what you see your heart telling you to do, you will find that support. Y'all know a Michael Jackson video when he was walking on the sidewalk, and every time he stepped on the sidewalk, it's old, it's probably in the 80s, I don't know when is it, I don't even know what song it is, but it was a video. Mind you, we didn't even have cable, but I saw this Michael Jackson video. They must have put it on primetime TV, because that's all we had. Every time he stepped on the sidewalk would light up. And everybody was like, oh my God, how did Michael Jackson do that? Like, how did he light concrete? Like, oh my God, and faint. That's what it feels like. It's like when you are supported, when you ask for support, when you ask God or the divine or your higher self or source, when you ask to be supported to help your mind be supported in the execution of the visions of your heart, look for the evidence of the support showing up for you. You're not looking for support for the end of the road. You're looking for support for the next logical step, as you take one step, two step, one step, two step, one foot in front of the other in following your heart. That's a little bit different than what we do on the intellectual side, because we know from kindergarten that the steps, let's make the comparison, right? So when your governance comes from external, we know when your governance comes, when your authority comes from the external, when you're making decisions with your intellect, these are all synonymous. You know, when you get into pre-K, or kindergarten, you know that you're going to go kindergarten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then you're going to go to college 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to go work, or you might go to your master's 1 year, 1 or 2 years. Then you're going to go work for 40 years or 30 years, and then you're going to retire. You see how that's what it looks like when you have all of your decisions and all of your governance from the external, and that's what we're used to. So so it seems as though the path is like very clear and very laid out. When your authority comes from your heart, you do not get that full long path. You do not get that full long laid out path. So it's scarier. You only get like 1 to 2 steps, 1 to 2 steps, 1 to 2 steps. It requires you to trust yourself and to trust your inner guidance. That is why it's so scary to follow your heart. You don't get the full path. You get the 1 or 2 steps, and then you have to ask the divine for their partnership and their support as you find the courage to take 1 step, 1 step, 1 step, 1 step, 1 step, with the holding the faith, holding the courage that your heart will not lead you astray, and the divine is there supporting you every single step of the way. This is a completely different switch. This is why we are talking about tonight. Why does leading with your heart feel so scary? Because it is a paradigm shift. It is a shift from what we think we know and this whole laid out path that they tell everybody to do. You know the path, the educational path, the job path and retiring at 65, the married by 30, the 2 kids by 31, the house by 32. You know that path, and how much of a failure you feel like when you don't abide by that path. That's the thing with external governance. That's the thing with being governed solely by your intellect, is that you can, if you're not on it, you're a failure. Whereas when you set your own governance, when you set your own authority, when you set your own success, parameters of success, you can't fail. You can't fail because you set your own path. You're following your own heart. You're going to the rhythm of your own drum. So it requires you to have even more faith, not in some external government or some external process or some intellectually planned out thing, in your God, in yourself, in your source, in your supporters, in your divine. It takes courage because we're not groomed that way. We're not cultivated that way, even though in God we trust. Who is this God that we're trusting when we say that? If not the God within. Let me jump back in the comments. Cause y'all know I could get hot. I could get real hot. Oh my gosh, it's already 8. We about an hour. We're a little over an hour in. Leo season. Ruby's little baby daughter is a Leo. Roar! She even roared. So let me see here. A friend once said grandma worked with her hand for mom to work with her mind, and daughter gets to work with her heart. Exactly. Whoa, I never heard that one. This doesn't have to be generational. One person can do it. We live longer now. So you go through the cycles. Last week when we were talking about divorcing an old life, divorcing an old version of yourself, this is what Maya was talking about. It's like the cycles. This doesn't have to be generational. It doesn't have to be grandma, daughter, grandma, mom, and daughter. It can be you. It could be an old version of you, your first version, Tashima, when you're in the trauma and you're trying to escape the poverty. Maybe that's the first version of you where you work with your hands. When you work with your hands, you do what you got to do to get out of poverty and out of trauma. And then you use your mind to do that. And maybe that's the middle beginning part of your life where you're using your mind and you're losing your intellect. And then in the latter part of your life, when you've transcended that, you start to work with your heart. That's exactly what we're talking about here, is divorcing old versions of yourself and being able to move through your life patterns and the chapters and closing the door. As one door opens, the other one door closes, the other one opens. So that's what we're talking about here. So still may be very scary to trust your heart a little bit more, because you still might be in the previous chapter of, I just gotta get out of poverty and this trauma. And let me tell you something. Who hasn't been there? Who hasn't been there? Maya, I love this. A friend once said grandma worked with her hand for mom to work with her mind, and daughter gets to work with her heart. This doesn't have to be generational. One person can do it. We live longer now, right? And we go through the different chapters and cycles of our life to understand that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Mixtape swagger in the building. It feels good to see the familiar faces. It feels good. I'm blushing with the familiar faces. You know what I mean? Because the collective is definitely showing up and showing out. I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah. We Leos are good daughters. Aw. Yeah. Rubes is saying, say that, Kels. The system is external and the path forward is always internal. Guidance is always internal. It's always internal. Yeah. The system can fail you. We saw that with COVID. And we're not, here's the deal. And it goes back to saying, my intellect hasn't really failed me, right? The system hasn't really failed me. For some of us, it does. For some of us, it doesn't, right? And so there is something to be honored about that. But what this conversation is reminding you is to bring to regain the balance, to allow balance, to allow the harmony, to not let the pendulum go too far to one side. So it's not to forsake your intellect. Are you nuts? Like, you can't forsake your intellect, but it's also not to forsake your heart. Have you been forsaking your heart? Have your heart and your head been in a contentious relationship? Ask yourself. Ask yourself what your life would look like if you just gave your heart a little bit more authority in your life. If you gave your internal guidance and your intuition and your heart and your soul and your inner God a little bit more authority in your life, how would your life change? And look for evidence of it. Be a scientist. Use your intellect and be a scientist in your own life and look for the patterns in your own life. Yeah? Man, I'm geeked tonight. I'm going out tonight and I'm geeked. I think Leo season just like breathed. I was geeked last week, but Leo season, I think this is the first day of Leo season. Really, I'm just hyped. I'm just loving it. Smash, smash, smash that like button for the consistency. This is week 30 of our Friday night kickbacks, consistent from New Year's Eve 2021 till now. Every single Friday, we've gone live, showed our face, reconnected with the collective, and we are seeing so many names of the folk that we recognize. How dope is that? Oh my God, I'm so glad that you guys are connected and like love it. Learning from the collective wisdom of the It's Kels community. Yeah. All right, so what else are you guys saying in here? Love that, Kels. God is in me. Let me tell you something. When I was moving to, I'm a church girl. I'm baptized and confirmed Episcopal. Episcopal is like Church of England. I'm from the islands. Our churches are Church of England churches primarily. And when I was moving to London, one of the old ladies in my church, and I say that endearingly, one of the older ladies in my church, Mrs. Seymour, they all pull you aside to tell you a word when you're going on a big trip. And Mrs. Seymour in my church in Miami, this was the first time I'd ever heard anything like this. Mrs. Seymour pulled me aside because they were doing a going away for me, as I was getting ready to go to London. And a lot of the women had been in London because a lot of them were Jamaican nurses. So they either had family or had spent some time in London. So all of them had a little word, wear socks, don't do this, don't do that, don't date that, date this person. Like they all had these little words. But Mrs. Seymour pulled me aside and she said, you see the God that everybody around here is praying to, that everybody around here is praying to and kneeling to and eating wafers and wine to, that God is within you. And I had never heard anybody of any of them people in the church Not even the pastor, nobody say that to me. And it struck a chord with me. I was like, oh, it rang as true to me. It resonated in my heart. I didn't have to over intellectualize it. When she spoke it into me, it felt like it was true. It felt like it was true. So I was like, oh, okay. So when I say that sometimes we have this version of God that is external to us, and that's a very intellectualized way of seeing God. And sometimes we have this version of God that is within us, that is a very heart-centered, internal authority version of God. That's what I mean. And that was the first time I heard anything like that. So that's why I say that God is within you. Consider that. You don't got to take, I always say this, you don't got to take my word for it. Consider it yourself. Journal about it yourself. Think about it before you go to sleep. Go to sleep, and then the next morning, see if it comes back up for you. Learn, figure it out yourself. You know what I mean? But I understood that to be true. It rang true to me. So I share it with you guys. Licking fresh and sweet as always. Sugarcane sweet, mango sweet. You know what I mean? Peach sweet, orange sweet, all of that. All of that. Oh my God. Rubes, what is this? There's a beautiful fiction novel on the topic called The Red Tent. Highly recommended. What is this? What is this red tent, Rubes? Seeing 1:11 on the clock. What is this red tent? And what are we talking about? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Let me see what's going on here. I'm seeing y'all. Not Marjorie. In God We Trust is just a marketing strategy. America is a corporation. So while I appreciate it, I appreciate the acknowledgement of God. Just understand that the way we deal with God is very external to us. And again, consider that your God is actually internal to you. Just consider that. Just consider that. Feels like church out here. I'm going to use that throat chakra. You feel like, let me tell you something. You feel like God gave me this voice just to be quiet? You feel like God gave me this voice just for me to sit here all just shh? No, ma'am. We're going to use this voice. Who want to hear it will hear it. If you don't hear it today, you might hear it tomorrow. If you don't hear it tomorrow, you might hear it next week. If you don't hear it next week, you might hear it. You might never hear it. It might not be for you to hear. But that's not going to be me not using it. I told you guys I was quiet on YouTube for about 2.5 years because I didn't have anything to say. And I know a lot of people like to come on social media and amplify their voice and don't have a damn to say. I'm not like that. I speak when I am spoken to. When I am touched, when I have something to say, I speak on it. And so I had to work my way up to that because before I wasn't quite comfortable using my voice in that way. But now that we here, y'all gonna have a hard time shutting me up. Cheers. Clink. Y'all, I gotta watch the time because I'm going out tonight. That I am. So what we talking about? Tashima's saying, yeah, I'm definitely no longer in survival mode. Thank God, sis. Lord, that was such a long chapter, wasn't it? Like, my God. And the tools I use then help with the things I deal with now. Absolutely. Absolutely. But just know when the tool no longer works, you're empowered to drop it and to find new tools. Okay? But so long as the tools are still working, absolutely ride it till the wheels fall off. Ride it till the wheels fall off, sis. by any means necessary. So I am working with my therapist, really fighting my therapist, because healing is uncomfortable. Healing is uncomfortable, and a lot of us cannot stand the discomfort. I had a topic option the other night that was talking about why suffering is necessary. Discomfort and suffering is necessary, otherwise you won't move. If the stove wasn't hot, how you know? If you didn't get burned when you put your hand in heat, how would you know that it wasn't right for you? If it did not burn when you put your hand in the heat, how would you know it wasn't good for you to do that? If it wasn't if you are finding discomfort in where you are now, you got to work through it. You got to work through it. You know what I mean? So also, what they don't tell you about therapy is that sometimes you dig up things and you do feel physical manifestations of those pains. A lot of times it's headaches. A lot of times it's like stomach aches. So as you are processing and working through trauma sometimes traps itself in the body. And so as you're working through it and talking through it and intellectualizing it and journaling it and talking to your therapist, you can feel physical pain as well as emotional pain. So there is definitely discomfort when it comes to therapy. But so long as you're processing it in a healthy way, it will heal. It will heal. Sending healing to you. Sending healing to all of us. To all of us. Yeah. She's saying to learn to trust both and to not be stuck spinning my wheels, avoiding the need to change. We talked about that last week, sis. I hope you got a chance to watch that video of last week. How to divorce that old life, how to change, how to divorce that old identity. We talked about all of that last week. I want you guys to know that we have all of our Friday night kickbacks in a playlist on the channel. So if you ever miss one, if you're not here catching us live like all our folk is right now, we don't feel bad. You know, you can still catch us on replay. Hit up that It's Kels Collective Friday Night Kickback playlist on the channel and watch some of the older ones from last week, because all of our conversations have a tendency to build on one another, and we're picking up the momentum in the second half of the year. So you want to make sure you caught up. You want to make sure you caught up with what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Listen to it like a podcast. Listen to it on the iPods. They always making fun of Nene Leakes the way she talks about. Anyway, it was a Real Housewives of Atlanta joke. If you listen to it on the iPods. And keep up to date with the conversations. I drop the timestamps usually a day or 2 or 3 or 4 after the video, so you can go back and click through the different chapters of the video. And then I always want to hear what you guys have to say, so make sure to drop your comments and this emoji in the chat if you're a part of our replay gang. If you're still here watching us 1 hour and 17 minutes into the broadcast, smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed, notifications are on. Free and easy way to support the content, to support the doll, to support the community and the collective, yeah? Keep using your voice. La 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 la. I might not be able to sing, but I'm gonna make it sing. I'm so stupid. Anyway, thank you, my love. I'm gonna keep using my voice. I have to. Yeah. Tashimi's out here doing the hard work, getting congratulations from the community. Oh, and we're talking about the red tent was the ancient culture's way of embracing women's cycles as a time of intentional rest. It's just like the seasons of the calendar year: summer, spring, fall, winter, all of that, harvest season, rainy season, wet season, you know, all of that. There's seasons to nature. So you have to be okay with the ebbs and flows. So when you follow your heart, you have to be okay with the ebbs and flows and not seeing the full path ahead of you. Just know that there is a rhythm. There is a rhythm to it, and you just have to identify it. Imagine you were first on Earth, and you came here in summer, and you were thinking it was always going to be hot, and then all of a sudden it started getting like fall and like halfway hot. Then all of a sudden it got cold and wintry, and then you're like, oh my God, it's going to be like this forever. And then all of a sudden it started to get a little bit warmer, and the days got a little bit longer, and it got into spring, and then it got hot again. Then you realize, oh, it's on a cycle and a rhythm. It's not haphazard. I thought it was going to be hot forever. Then I thought it was going to be cold forever. But no, there is a natural organization of balance, an ebb and a flow. When you are leading with your heart, you will find that natural ebb and flow as well. Just don't be scared of not knowing it up front. You will find it. You'll find it. You'll find how your internal authority, how your heart governs, and you'll see the pattern to it. It might take a little bit, but there's a pattern, there's a logic. It's not completely haphazard. It is nature. There is balance, right? Yeah. What I gotta do is I gotta give my flowers. I gotta drop some flowers. Can I drop some flowers in the chat? I want to drop some flowers in the chat for Tashima. Because Tashima out here doing the work. Tashima's out here doing the work. Can I put flowers in the chat? Let me see if I can find some flowers. I want to put some flowers. Tashima out here doing the work. And I'm going to drop some flowers in the chat for sis. Because some of us be thinking we doing the work. But we don't be doing it. We don't be doing it. But Tashima, you get your flowers today, sis. Because just by the nature of opening up in the conversation and talking about that, it shows that you are doing the work, sis. And I send you so much love and so much support because it's not easy, but it will be worth it. Yeah. I do these videos so you guys know you're not out here alone in this sometimes crazy, living, loving, dating, evolving, ascending, growing world. If this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe. And if you're an oldie but a goodie, good looking out, replay gang is strong around these parts. Gems is heavy around these parts. So if you're liking what you're seeing, what you're hearing, if you're finding value in this or the community or the engagement of the community, be sure to join us every Friday, 7 p.m. And also just subscribe to the channel so you can see when we go live, when we drop our content videos. And so that you can vote on Thursday for our Friday night kickbacks. Any closing words before we say good night? Y'all know I'm going out. Oh, my water's, oh no, it's not. Okay, that was the last sip of water. So y'all know when my water done, the voice will be ready to go. Mm-hmm. Thanks, love. I'm trying, sis. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. People out here faking the funk. Sis, you are doing the work. And it shows. It shows. It shows. Love. Flowers. It shows. It shows, sis. I feel like I was so geeked for this kickback. I'm so glad we talked about this. I think I got all my little notes out. They were definitely not in order, but hopefully it really struck a chord with y'all tonight and just like left you with something to think about or to look out for you in the day-to-day. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will catch you guys again next week for another Friday night kickback. With that being said, goodbye, guys.